Hello. Hello. My name's Alec. This is White Whale Comics. I had a wacky idea. A lot of my ideas are wacky. One of them being going live by myself because I don't have someone else to rely on to take up the time that I am not speaking, which is a lot. But I do have something to talk about tonight. So hopefully it won't be too much dead air. I do want to kind of do this a bit like the things I used to do, which was the Let's Chat. So if anyone does want to jump in for a bit, shoot me an email, and I'll send you the link if you don't seem like a crazy person. Shout out the chat really quick. Midwest Comic Man in the house saying libraries are cool. They are. Terry23, what's up, brother? If I have an idea, it's bound to be wacky. You know it. Comic Head 84, what is up, my man? Joey Bag of Sevens says, yo yourself, Joey Bag of Sevens. I've noticed when StreamYard started, Stream Duck, whatever it is, it was very smooth with the chat. Like it would come through very quickly. I didn't feel like there was a whole lot of lag. But now I feel like the chat like comes in chunks. So I will do my best to keep up. Big Will is in the house. He'll bite. Don't need to bite. I will give you the information. So funny thing happened. Well, two funny things happened in regards to the same thing. I got this package. Pop.comics. Hello. Welcome. First funny thing that happened is that the post office decided that they didn't want this to survive or be in existence anymore. So they really jammed it in my mailbox. Hopefully the innards are okay. Funny thing about this is from the charity auction that Comic Core did for Midwest Comic Man and his daughter, who Big Will wants to join. I got you. One moment. Let me send the link. The most awkward part of these let's chat things is that if someone does want to join, I have to do this. And it's wildly entertaining for you to watch me send an email. But hopefully I can do it quickly if I can. There we go. Okay. In the meantime, Superpower Review and Craig69 joined. What's up? Yeah, so Terry23 says, damn, I assume he's referring to this little fun thing and that little fun thing. Anyway, Midwest Comic Man and his daughter, she's been having some health issues, and they ran a charity auction to try to help him out with some medical bills. And I was a participant in the chat of that one of the auctions, and I bid on a few things. There he is, the man, Big Will, back.
I have returned.
It's been a minute. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. And by the way, you have a lovely way of sending emails.
Good to see you. You're new. You got a new camera or something? Looks good.
No, actually, same camera, better
different setup.
Way of doing it.
Looks great. So I got this because I was bidding on stuff to try to A-OK people who were also bidding. So I was going to outbid them and then just say, send it to the person who was bidding against me, which in hindsight just ended up driving up the price on some things. But I was trying my best to be generous. The funny thing that happened was I was bidding on this to A-OK, and TJ Watson, being ever so endlessly generous, did the same thing I was doing and said to himself, oh, Alec wants this. I'll buy it and A-OK it for him since it's for charity. So I'm going to open it for you guys and show you what I got, and then tell you about my idea that I came up with because of that story. Hopefully they aren't disastrously wrecked thanks to the post office. And
do you know already if it's a slab or rock?
I believe, if I remember correctly, these are trades.
Ooh.
So doesn't matter quite as much about them being a bit bent, especially when, speaking of things that are strange things to do on camera, besides sending emails, is opening packages. I know there's like a strange satisfaction of seeing people unbox things, but at the same time, like you just have to hear me ripping paper and stuff for 45 seconds.
I find the amount of tape involved is in direct correlation with the amount of enjoyment I get out of it.
So the more tape, the better?
No.
The less tape, the better, obviously.
I spent 20 minutes opening a package one time because of the tape.
Yeah. Got to put those tabs on there. Sellers, shippers. So this is what I got. This is from the great legend who donated these to the auction, and TJ Watson bought them for me while I was trying to buy them for someone else. I got Chew Volume 1. I got, what's that?
I was just saying nice.
Yeah, Chew Volume 2. I'll save this one. I got Saga Volume 1. And last but not least, the Great Legends, one of the Great Legends favorites, Farmhand Volume 1, signed by Rob Guillory.
Sweet.
So, pretty cool stuff.
Volume 1's there.
What's that? Yeah. So obviously, really good reading. I've not read Chew Volume 2 or all of Farmhand Volume 1, but I've read Saga and Chew Volume 1. So here's my idea. I'm going to reread these, and then I'm going to put my name in the front cover of each of these books, and then I'm going to send them off to the person who I was going to AOK them to. They are then going to read the ones they want, sign their name inside of it, and if they really want to keep one even, they can keep one and switch it out for a different trade. And then once they're done, they can send it off to someone else. So these can kind of rotate around the community, and everyone can kind of get some enjoyment and read some good stories. And I mean, if you want to add something to the pile without taking something out, you're welcome to do that as well. And hopefully everyone is cool about it, and we can get these rotated around and start kind of a community reading project.
Well, now your title makes perfect sense. It's kind of like a rolling library.
Yeah. So that was kind of meant to be a little mysterious as to what I was doing. And Superpower Review really likes it.
Yeah.
Midwest Comic Man says, we used to do this on cigar boards, called it Cigar Pass Box. We'd travel around, people would take a few, add a few, and send it on. Yeah, I mean, I'm not claiming that I'm fully, original with this idea. I'm sure things happen. Joe4771 said, can I add Satan Sodomy Baby? Certainly, if you would like. There is no requirement for the next person to read what you have sent. They can read what they would like and send on. But Saint Sodomy Baby is a great comic for those of you not read it.
It's also kind of like sending cassettes back in like the 80s and early 90s for music.
Yeah. Right.
So are you going to send every one of those and that's it? Or are you going to add some or shuffle some different things around? Or leave it a surprise?
I'm definitely sending these 4 because this was the original plan. But I may add a 5th book depending on if I look through my collection and see something that I would like to share with the community that I'm willing to part with, or I might just buy something new to put in as well. Midwest Comic Man says, it's a great idea. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, I hope people are into it. I hope people like that idea. I know it's kind of going to be, a small cost for everyone to ship these, but to get 5 trades, it's a lot of reading. It's going to be a lot less for you if you were to buy them, to ship them on to the next person. And like I said, if everyone kind of signs the inside of them, I thought that would be kind of cool to see, like, as they go around, see like, oh, look how many people read these. And
yeah, kind of like Reggie's thing with the cover of the 2 blank covers.
Yep. Terry 23 says, I know a book you can share, White Whale. So that's a bit of an inside joke because he is trying to get me to sell this to him. Or rather, ideally, he's trying to get me to A-OK it to him, which will not happen.
I thought he was talking about missing pieces.
No one's interested in that. Detective Comics 880. I'd like to think myself as fairly generous, but I'm not that generous to A-OK that. So, he says, stop snitching. Comic Cat 84 says, I've never read Chew. Midwesco says it's great. Well, unfortunately, you are not the first recipient, Big Will. I already have that person picked out because they are the person.
That's all right.
But hopefully,
I know the premise of Chew.
Yeah, it's wild.
It sounds good. I just never have read it.
Yeah, it's wild. So hopefully, though, they will make their way to you because you certainly are a generous member of the community as well. So, would be well deserved for you to get them at some point. But hopefully this can even get to some people who maybe don't have channels, who we see in the chat a lot, like Chris Barrett or Old Wolf or Joey Bag of Sevens. I don't think he has a channel. If he does, I apologize. I can only watch so much YouTubes. Super Review also wants that A-OK'd. When I win the lottery, everyone can get an 880. How about that? Downright Nerdy Podcast. Thanks for joining.
I'd be happy to take one if you ever get to the point of being that generous.
Yes, you're definitely on my list. If I become an overnight multi-millionaire, 880s for everybody. How you been? I know you've been on a bit of a hiatus.
Well, forced hiatus, but I have returned. Done a few shows with other people. Did a couple myself. You probably saw on Instagram, Jeffrey and I are going to start back our big show.
Big show, yeah. Been missing that.
Got something with the Boy Who Had 7 coming up here this next few days. I'm going to join Stay Puft tomorrow at his deal.
Very nice.
He started doing live streaming now.
Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool indeed. Bear Allen says Chris Barrett doesn't have time to read. He's busy in every chat. That is true, except I don't see him tonight. So you're throwing falsities, Bear Allen.
Yeah.
Those of you just joining, I will recap what I was talking about, as well as the fact that if you want to jump in, shoot me an email, and I will send you an invite. I'm only going to go for probably 30, 40 minutes tonight, but if anyone wants to jump in and talk, whatever, doesn't have to be about this. But so to recap really quickly, I got these A-OK'd from the charity auction for Midwest Comic Man's Daughter because I was bidding on them to A-OK them to someone else. TJ Watson had the same idea as me and decided to buy them for me, even though I was trying to buy them for someone else. And his generosity surpassed mine because he was willing to pay more for them than I was, basically. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read these. I'm going to sign my name on the inside of them, and then I'm going to ship them to that person I was going to A-OK them to. They can read them if they would like. They can switch out a book if they would like, and then they can send them to the next person after they sign their name and the ones they've read. And so on and so on and so forth. And hopefully this gets around to many members of the community, and it's just something to help us, kind of bring us together a little closer. Downright Nerdy Podcast said, really enjoyed your review on Undiscovered Country. Thank you very much. I assume you're talking to me and not someone else in the chat, but I will take the compliment anyway.
Well, it sounds like a good plan there, man.
Midwest Comic Man says, trying to be more generous than TJ is a losing battle always. Indeed it is. I did not realize at the time what he was doing. I should have, but I didn't. TRE23, can I add a couple of paperbacks? Like novels? We read comics here, but if you want to add comics, if these get around to you, yeah, man, put in whatever you'd like. As long as it doesn't like turn it into a thing where it's like 20 graphic novels and someone has to pay $40 to ship it, as long as it's be able to be fit in a flat rate mailer.
Well, how much you talking? Because 8 to 15 isn't that big a deal, and you could get like 15, 20 trades in a medium box.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that is up to the people who start receiving these. 8 to 15 isn't that much in the scope of things, but for something that is being forced upon you,
yeah, I guess you're right.
it kind of feels a little different, I think. But that's what's going on with my crazy kooky idea I had. And for those of you, probably hard to see now because I have ripped the hell out of it, but the post office tried to thwart my idea by just manhandling this.
They love to do that.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this is a package. There must be something inside of it. Let's see what I can do.
Yeah, I thought about doing something with a school library, taking a whole bunch of trades and graphic novels, seeing if I could do like a comic-like section in the library of a school and see if that would work or not. Because if it's like it was when I was in school, it's only got worse, and you basically have to force kids to go in there.
Right, you have to force kids to go in there because they have just old-timey novels and science books and stuff, and it's part of the reason why for book club I wanted to raise some money for literacy campaigns, because kids, I mean, this is a blanket statement, but kids don't really enjoy reading. I didn't enjoy reading when I was a kid, but I enjoyed comic books, which, I don't want to say I would be illiterate without comic books. It's a bit of a stretch, but
I almost would be. I'm dyslexic, and while I am actually a very good reader, if I read more than, say, a normal novel's one page, the words start going together and I get sleepy and my brain kind of shuts down. But a comic, the words are broken up by the bubbles, and then there's also the art that helps you follow along, and you can read the story just by the art if it's good enough too.
Yeah,
and I've always been able to read comics.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they definitely helped me become a better reader, and it's my preferred thing to read nowadays. So I mean, I think it's a great idea. The only thing you have to watch out for is making sure the content is appropriate. But
yeah, which depending, I mean, if you go to elementary school, you really got to watch. But if you go to high school, no nudity is pretty much all you got to worry about. Yeah,
probably not like no Vertigo titles, no Zombie Tramp, but
yeah, I remember being in third or third grade, and I was the only kid that knew how to spell correctly invulnerable and incredible for Superman and the Hulk.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Vacuum always threw me off when I was a kid.
What did?
Vacuum.
Oh, the word vacuum?
Yeah. It's just something that stuck with me. Like, I remember getting it wrong. I thought for sure I knew how to spell it on a spelling test, and I got it wrong. And those two U's, man.
Yeah. When I learned how to spell incredible, it was like when I learned how to tie my shoes. I was so impressed with myself. I just doodled it everywhere.
I remember, interestingly enough, learning to spell my last name because I wanted to get a library card when I was very young to read picture books and comics and at the public library. And my mom said, okay, but you have to know how to spell your last name to sign up for it. So I learned it on the car ride over. I don't remember how old I was. Probably too old to not know how to spell my last name, but that's neither here nor there.
I've always had it easy. My last name's short, 4 letters.
Yeah. I mean, my name's not like Straczynski or something, but, Cheshevsky.
Yeah.
Whales and Wills, John's Comics with Kids, welcome to the chat. You missed my whole thing, but I spoiled it for you last night after book club off air, so you know what's going on. Here are the trades that will be going out, that will be shared to the community. Chew Volume 1, Chew Volume 2, Farmhand Volume 1, and Saga Volume 1.
Yeah, I got to do a show with John at some point in the future. Top 5 Western movies. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that. That's also a comic book genre, but no one seems to really care about unless you're really old.
Yeah, it's funny. Like old horror and sci-fi gets a lot of play, and old westerns just don't for some reason.
Yeah, well, it's weird that horror is so popular now and everything, because think about horror is just a reverse Western. When you think about it, from the idea of the slasher or the main villain in the horror or the it or whatever, from their perspective, they're kind of in a Western going on this journey, having to fight all these people to get to a goal, It's kind of like horror is a reverse Western.
It's interesting. Should do a whole thesis on that. I wonder if to me, I wonder if the popularity of Westerns is less because there's so many photo covers, and the artwork on things like the horror covers and the sci-fi covers is so tremendous that it draws people to them more.
You might be right as far as comics, but let me ask you this.
Oh, yeah.
Movies, they've died out too.
Yeah, no, I was talking about comics specifically, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. Specifically for comics, I think that's probably it. But the reason why there's so many photo covers is all the best movies and TV for like 30, 40 years
were all Westerns.
So they made comics of them and we'll do a photo cover. It's a real person.
Yeah, I wonder, like, I think that fascination with the Old West, or the Old West and the westward expansion and all that stuff is kind of died off because it's not something people relate to anymore because it's so far away. Like that, there's nowhere to go anymore besides outer space, really, or Antarctica. That is not.
Yeah, but when you say that, though, you can have a Western and it not be traditional, like with guns and cowboy hats.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, Star Wars can classify as a Western. The movie Logan can be a Western. A lot of other sci-fi and horror movies could be classified as Western. It depends on how you do it.
Sure, right. Yeah. I mean, there's certainly movies that fall into that kind of theming of a Western and some of that same stuff. But, when you think about the traditional Western of, even some of the more modern Westerns that are, thinking outside the box a little bit, you still have horses and stuff like that. And
yeah, of course, I think it's, you're in Florida now, right?
I am, yeah.
Okay, well then this ain't going to be too crazy of a
thing. Ride gators down here.
But I think it's because America is now so stupid when it comes to things like firearms and how we had to do violence sometimes in wartime and when it was out in the West and there was no law, that they get all up and I don't know how to say it, but they get all mad and really easy. I don't think you could do a Western and have it be as popular as it used to could be because of all that.
Yeah, I wonder about that. It's funny because there's a trend for horror movies where they tend to be more popular at times when the country is in more strife. So at war times and at times where there's more, socioeconomical issues. And I think a lot of that is because people are scared and they don't know how to let go or have an outlet for that fear. So they go to horror movies because it's like a safe space to be afraid in. And I don't know what the equivalent of a Western is. Like I don't know what the Westerns provided that horror movies do nowadays.
Well, the Western was originally about a wrong had been done or something evil was afoot, and a good man who didn't want to,
Right.
but because of duty or honor or whatever,
Yeah.
went and tried to solve the problem, and he had the tools necessary. He'd grab a horse, grab a gun, grab a hat, and there you went.
I assume you've seen Deadwood.
Deadwood. If I have, it's been a while.
It's the HBO show.
Oh well, then I haven't. I don't have HBO.
Oh. Well, I would recommend trying to track down some DVDs or something because it is, besides Battlestar Galactica, my second favorite show of all time, and it is a traditional Western.
I'll have to check that out. I know I haven't seen Westworld either, but it's apparently a sci-fi Western.
Yeah, yep. That's based on an old movie, which is based on a Stephen King thing. Yeah, Deadwood is just extremely vulgar. I will tell you that. But just about this mining town and this guy who comes in and ends up being the sheriff, and this other guy who runs a brothel, and just all the political and social aspects of it, and it's real good. Bear Island agrees. Deadwood is amazing. I still have not watched the Deadwood film. I know I should.
There's a film. I could watch it then.
So Deadwood after 3 seasons got canceled, and it got canceled clearly after they expected to continue going. So the 3rd season does not have a conclusion. And years later, just recently, they put out a movie to kind of wrap things up. But I don't have HBO anymore, so I've not seen the movie yet.
Oh, okay.
So I would not recommend watching the movie because it would make little to no sense being basically a season 4.
Well, I've seen a lot of Western movies, but when it comes to the television stuff, well, I don't have HBO, so I haven't seen Deadwood because of that. But I really find I like it better back in the old days in the 50s. They had some of the better Westerns. And then, of course, you get into the 60s, and there's a couple good ones like Gunsmoke. Everyone knows that one by name, even if you don't know Westerns.
All right. So it was, for a long time, the longest running show.
Yeah, longest running show. Now it is the longest running law enforcement officer show, but Law and Order SVU in their 21st season will surpass it.
Wow, 21 seasons for SVU. That's great.
They're almost there. I think this is like 19 or 20 this year is their season. But when they go to 21, that's it.
Sleepy Reader 66 in the chat. What's up? And Jack Yo says Lonesome Dove is the GOAT.
Also saw DS pop in too.
Yeah, DS did pop in. What's up? Yeah. He said, "What's up, guys? What's up, DS? Always good to see you, brother."
But my favorite shows are some like the Death Valley Days. It was an anthology series that talked about different true stories that happened in the Old West. I mean, like the guy that invented Stetson hats did a story on that, a story on Levi Strauss, a story on a preacher who went to build a church in a town and the town wanted to throw him out. And eventually, it got to where they built him a church. And Ronald Reagan was that was one of his starring roles, being the orator of the show, kind of, for a little while in the later seasons. And then there's The Rifleman, which is a great one. And one of my favorites is Lawman. Everyone talks about how Burt Reynolds and Tom Selleck have the best mustaches ever. Well, the OG is the guy that played Lawman. I think his name was Jack Russell, I believe was his name, or John Russell.
Hmm.
He had the most amazing mustache.
I feel like if I shaved down to a mustache, it would be pretty Tom Selleck-y. DS Comics says sci-fi shows are my favorite. That is not a surprise to hear. And Comic Crypto Stock says Simpsons is the all-time record. Yeah, I think for scripted shows, I think there are some news programs that have run.
Yeah, I was talking just law enforcement type shows.
Yeah,
but just general scripted. Yeah, they got it in spades.
Yeah, I don't know if anything will ever beat that. They're still going too, so it's not like.
Actually, I think a British show beats even The Simpsons, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's been going on for almost 60 years straight, but it's strictly British, so we don't count it. But I could be wrong, but I remember reading that or watching that on a video somewhere.
Bear Allen says a full handlebar mustache would be too epic. So when I used to have my beard short, I shaved my chin for a while and just had the chops into a mustache. It looked pretty ridiculous.
Did you have a motorcycle?
Nope, never had a motorcycle.
Did you have to buy a motorcycle when you cut it like that? It's like a rule.
I didn't have to buy one, but one showed up in my driveway. It was weird.
It calls to them.
Yeah.
It calls to motorcycles.
As soon as I finished and cleaned up my face, I looked out the window. I was like, "There's an old Indian out there."
And it's an old Indian too.
Yeah, I like Indian cycles.
Well, I knew what you meant. Indian's a great old brand.
I think they're. Sorry, Harley fans. I think they're much more attractive than Harleys.
Looks like you got a second for the handlebar.
Yeah.
I'd love to see you just try and twirl it.
I've done that before. I got to get some wax though, because it doesn't really stay, but it looks fairly villainish.
Think the world record one's like 4 feet wide.
It's crazy. There's a guy, and I'm sure it's just like basically shellacked, but you can look online. There was a beard competition where a guy braided his beard into a full bird cage over his head with a working door.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's awesome.
Barrett says, Alex, even hipster with his motorcycle preferences. Indians are not hipster. Indians are a legitimate brand that people enjoy.
Ooh, another excellent mustache. Guy known for playing the villain. Have Gun Will Travel. I forget his name, but that was the show he did. It was a Western. And he was like this outlaw with a conscience, basically. And all the film roles he did, he was the villain. He has one of those tiny mustaches, kind of like not Vincent Van Gogh, but Vincent Price.
Price, yeah.
He had a Vincent Price kind of thin mustache, but he's awesome.
Yeah. A great mustache does not have to
go and find an episode or two of Have Gun Will Travel and watch it. He wears all black. It's awesome.
A great mustache does not have to be full and thick. It just has to be well shaped and look wonderful. DS says Black Mirror is one of the best sci-fi shows ever. Totally agree. And then poor Mike brings up X-Files, which of course is all time. Speaking of great mustaches, there is on one of the seasons of Cops, at least one of the seasons, during the intro, there's a clip of a police officer with the most epic mustache I've ever seen. Like, he's got a very tall upper lip, and it's just like black, full black mustache, and it's amazing.
Like you talking fuller than Sam Elliott, because that dude is full mustache.
Yeah, Sam Elliott's another great one. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah.
Let's see if the internet will let me down.
Top 4 mustaches: Sam Elliott, Tom Selleck, Jack or John Russell. I believe it's John Russell, and then Burt Reynolds. That's my top 4 mustaches.
Yeah, there's no way I'm going to find this. I'll find it eventually, and I'll post it on Instagram or something, but I don't know that a quick Google search, tertiary Google search is going to come across it.
Well, there's a YouTube channel, a guy by the name of Donut Operator. He does police videos. He used to be a cop, and through a lot of the videos, he does a mustache where he gets it rolling there, and it's a pretty nice mustache.
TJ said, I feel like you'd tie me to a railroad track with a mustache like that. Yeah, it'd be very, what's that guy's name? The cartoon villain. Anyway, so just to recap before we call this a night, since TJ is now in the chat, TJ decided to outbid me on an auction, the charity auction for Midwest Comic Man, last week or so ago, because I was bidding on these fine books from the great legend who generously donated them from his collection. And the funny thing is that I was bidding on them to A-OK them to someone else who was bidding on them. So it really got out of control. So thank you, TJ. Very generous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read these. I'm going to sign my name to the inside of them, and then I'm going to send them to the person who I was going to A-OK them to. They may read them and switch out a book or two if they would like for other trades that they feel like someone else would enjoy, and send those along to someone else who can then do the same thing, so on and so forth, ad infinitum. I don't know if that's a word, but it sounded cool. So that's my plan. And if you get them and you're not into reading them, sorry, I just cost you $8.
Well, you never know that someone could get them and just keep them, and that'd be the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a risk we have to take, but I think most people in the community are pretty cool, and we're not going to send them to some random person. So hopefully,
I think the worst problem you're going to run into is it wind up being 37 books being sent out.
Yeah, because everyone wants to be generous, and everyone sends another one, and then eventually someone just gets like a U-Haul truck full of comics trades.
Well, I'm only going to read these 4, but I got to ship out these at the cost of $187.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't come to that, but just a way I was thinking, to kind of spread some generosity to the community, allow everyone to read some cool books, and just kind of feel like, poor Mike says, a rolling library. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just to kind of like, we interact with each other and everything, but this is, I feel like, a way to get us
Downright Nerdy Podcast. Whenever it goes full circle and gets back to you, I hope someone throws in a can of beard wax.
Yeah, and hopefully, it's hopefully like a game of telephone where if it ever did get back to me, it's like a completely different set of trades.
Yeah.
Because people have just been switching them out and stuff. But yeah, it's just a way for us to kind of have a little bit more connection with each other than just chatting, because, except for a couple of Comic Cons I've been to where I've met a few people, like Baltimore was huge. It was overwhelming with the amount of people that I was able to meet there. This is as close as we get to interacting, and to kind of have something going around that everyone has gotten to enjoy. I feel like maybe hopefully will bring a bit of a connection to one another.
Yeah. Well, hey, you're close enough to me now. You can go to like Dragon Con or something, and I can meet you there. It's not that far to drive.
I've always wanted to go to Dragon Con. What time of year is it? It's in the summer?
It's a Labor Day weekend, last of August, 1st of September. Although I think the way it falls next year, it'll be the 3rd through the 7th of September.
Yeah, I might be able to swing that. I'm definitely doing MegaCon because it is literally in my backyard. Not literally, practically.
I think everyone has to go to the con that's in their own state at least once, because it can't suck that bad.
Right. I actually never went to Rhode Island Comic Con while I lived there.
Were you on YouTube then?
I was not.
Okay, well then all is forgiven. We didn't know you then. You didn't exist.
It didn't exist. I only came into existence after my first YouTube video.
Yes.
So keep an eye out. Like I was saying, it might, feel free to send them to people who aren't even necessarily putting out content that we just see in the chat, maybe. Obviously, get their permission. Don't just because you need to get their address, but or don't do with them what you will. Once they're out of my hands, it's kind of like it's the Wild West. No pun intended.
That's funny.
Thank you, Big Will. It's great seeing you. Glad to have you back with us. Look forward to seeing the big show again regularly. And you got anything else you want to plug before we head out?
I don't really have anything. I'll be on Stay Puft's channel this Saturday doing his chat thing I think it's like 2:00 your time is when he does it. And let's see, next Thursday, we'll be doing the big show sometime around Veterans Day, day before, day after. I'll be on hopefully with Matt, the boy who had 7. We'll be doing a talk about comics and personal finance. And as soon as Ryan gets back with John, we'll hopefully do that top 5 Western at some point in the future, but I have no idea when on that one.
Very cool. Thank you to everyone in the chat for hanging out. I know it's kind of a weird time to go live, but wanted to do it before any of the regularly scheduled live programs went on this evening, because I know this was kind of a spur of the moment thing. So thanks for hanging out, and hopefully you'll all eventually get these books and get to enjoy them. This is on my channel, and I should probably do my whole outro thing that I'm totally unprepared for.
I'm ready.
I'll get there.
Don't let me hang it. I'm posed.
I really messed everything up because there we go. Throw up them horns. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks to Big Will. And thanks to TJ. Thanks to Great Legend. And thanks to the Comic Corps for making this happen without their knowledge. You know what I'm going to say. Never turn your back to the ocean. Bye.